Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Russell County Board of Supervisors, September the 8th, 2020, at 6 p.m. in the Russell County Conference Room. I'd like to first start off with the call of order and roll call. Tim Lovelace.
Here.
Glenn Wallace.
Here.
Carl Ray.
Here.
David Eaton.
Here.
Horace Christian.
Yeah.
Steve Brady.
Here.
Rebecca Dye.
Here.
Ma'am, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first order is our invocation. Let's stand and then remain standing for the pledge, please. Thank you, dear Lord, for another day. Thank you for the blessings that you bestowed upon us. Father in heaven, we stand before you today in your presence and ask that you grant us strength. We want you to give us the strength and power for all the tasks today and the rest of the week, whether it be little or big. It is by your will that we live, O Lord, and we know it is also by your will that we will not touch weak in our decisions that you help us strive to make. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now, at this time, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Tim, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
David? Thank you. All those in favor of the agenda? Aye. Anyone opposed? Stand ready. All right, and the first thing we have is our public hearing on the continuation of our government ordinance. And we'll open the floor for any public comment on our government ordinance. Anyone want to speak about the continuation of continuity of their ordinance? No one to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll close. Next thing on the agenda is the courthouse security ordinance fee. Anyone in the public want to speak on that? Okay, we'll discuss this later in the attorney's section. All right, seeing no one wants to speak, we will close the public hearing on their courthouse security ordinance. Now we have our presentations, and the first one on our agenda is Dr. Brown with the Russell County School Board and their daycare program.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, Mr. Lester, for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. We've been contacted by the Workforce Development Board in conjunction with United Way to examine the possibility of providing daycare for the workers, the employees, the stakeholders in Southwest Virginia. Due to the different situations we run into county to county with the different models that we're operating under, whether it be 100% remote or the hybrid model that we've adopted, these things have created a hardship on our stakeholders as far as daycare is concerned. So the Workforce Development Board has received some guidance, direction from Richmond to reach out and speak to different school systems in Southwest Virginia. We had a Zoom meeting approximately 2 weeks ago concerning this issue. We also had our friends with the United Way as part of this conversation, and they were real excited. They already had moved forward with this idea in Washington County, and basically what we're looking at, if the Board of Supervisors will be willing to partner with us on this project, would be an opportunity for us to provide, again, daycare for the citizens, stakeholders, employees in Russell County, whether it be our teachers, our government workers, our first responders, or, again, parents of students that attend Russell County Public Schools. in grades pre-K through 7th is our focal group. We're looking at a pilot program. We're calling it a learning center. With this, students would be able to work on their remote learning day activities and so forth, in addition to having other activities available to them. The key thing that we look at when it comes to these programs, we've had several waivers provided to school divisions and localities since the onset of COVID-19. And with this, one of the things that is available if going through the school system is some relief on licensure requirements. So with that being said, if we were to have a temporary pilot program put in place, a learning center put in place, and those employees, again, are Russell County Public School employees, due to licensure issues, we can, again, get to that point a little quicker. With that, we would like for the board's consideration to support the idea. What we're looking at is the facility here next door. We have reached out and worked with our partners with Southwest Virginia Community College, Dr. Wright and Dr. Brandon. They have provided for us at least 7 up to 9 rooms in the facility here to my right. With that being said, we've also checked that we will be able to feed our students that attend breakfast and lunch free of charge during this time, and that can be provided again from Russell County Public Schools to directly to our students here at the Learning Center. In addition to that, we're looking at, as far as the structure of the program, we're looking for someone, or actually a couple individuals, to be, if you will, a manager, site-based manager of the program. We'll have Ms. Street be the liaison with the central office. With that site-based manager, we would also need a clerical position, and then, of course, we'd have to have the instructors in each individual room. So we're looking at roughly 10 positions with part-time requirements and so forth. We're looking at 29 hours. With that being said, we're looking at operating this program through workforce development guidelines and recommendations, and again, to accommodate the needs of our stakeholders from 7 in the morning till 6 in the evening. So it's an 11-hour per day program. So that's 55 hours in a week. So basically, we would need 2 of everything, 2 managers, 2 clerical, and then 2 individuals for each of the classrooms. They would be on the same schedule as our students. They would have an A-B group, so we'd have one team that works on Monday and Tuesday, another team that would work on Thursday and Friday, and then they would rotate the Wednesdays in order to get their time in. So that's how the program basically would work. It would be, again, a program designed for all day. It would not be designed for after school. To support that, it'd be a little too chaotic, if you will, at that point in time, to try to support an after-school program. We have after-school programs already in existence at our schools with 21st Century, where, again, our students are fed as well in those programs. So this program, again, would be designed to be an all-day program. But I have a fact sheet that has been provided to the board. Again, this is somewhat optimistic, but possibly a program start date of September the 14th, no later than the 21st. And it would run through the end of the school year. And again, I'll share that with the fact that I believe the CARES Act funding that the Board of Supervisors has a date of December 31st, 2020, as far as the spending of those funds are concerned. So with that coming into play, we're looking at something again to run through the end of the calendar year. But with our conversation with the Workforce Development Board and the United Way, Mr. Stanton was in that meeting, and Travis Stanton, the Executive Director of the United Way, has found grants to actually carry us beyond the turn of the calendar year into the beginning of 2021. So he has grants that can kick in starting on January the 1st, 2021, that can carry us on into the spring as long as we need to, whether that be a month or 3 months or the end of the school year, we have those funds, and that would be through the United Way and would not have any impact on the Board of Supervisors or the Board of Ed. Again, going through the document, again, focal group is pre-K through 7. 7 to 6 o'clock will be the focal time as far as the operation hours are concerned. Students will be able to work on their remote learning assignments. The key thing about this structure that makes it perfect for this is the fact that we have fiber throughout this side and the college side of this building. So fiber is needed to support these Chromebooks and so forth. It's one thing at home to have 1 or 2 devices or 3 devices at home. It's another thing when you look at having 40 or 50 devices here to hook up. You need fiber, you need that infrastructure in place. And this building and, of course, the community college side as well has that fiber in place. Staff, again, classroom instructors, manager, and clerk. Those positions there, these salaries were the recommendation of the Workforce Development Board and their experience in dealing with similar requests and programs. Again, it would be free of charge to our parents, stakeholders of Russell County. So again, a wonderful opportunity for free daycare, a free learning center for our students. Again, the United Way is going to step in with the assistance of the Workforce Development Board, and they can fund the program if needed beyond January the 1st, 2021. And then the last 2 points, due to licensing requirements that I shared earlier, it is much more efficient for it to go through the school side as far as the employees are concerned, because there have been several restrictions that have been lifted for school-sponsored daycare. And then finally, this has been vetted also with Vacor, our insurance provider. They're in full support on the insurance side of things as far as that's concerned. So with that being the presentation, I'll be more than happy to answer questions and ask the board for their consideration of support of the program. The cost of the program, Mr. Lester and I have spoken about this. We anticipate the cost to be somewhere between $125,000 to $150,000. Again, with that coming from the CARES funding, therefore it would not be out of any type of operating budget within the county or the school system. And again, that's the goal.
I guess the only question I would have as far as my constituents in the area where I serve have had any input from people in those area districts that would utilize the facility?
Well, and that's a key thing. We've looked at a couple things there. One is, again, the infrastructure piece. We have to have strong enough broadband in that area, in those schools or those churches or wherever we might find to do that in Castlewood and Honeacre to support that. That's one thing. And then, of course, I would definitely want to look into exploring that. I think it would be, I guess, a little problematic to try to put all 3 in at one time because you just have so many unknowns, so many variables. What I'd like to do is, if boards are in support of this, move forward with the registration process, and then that will give us some data to go on. If we have a significant number in Castlewood and Honeacre, then we could look for other alternatives. The key thing, again, is finding the broadband to support all of those devices.
Well, I mean, for it to be actually to work, to be fair, all the districts in the region, you want to be able to support that opportunity in those areas for the convenience of the people that work. So this is people that work for a living, teachers. Does it need the full base? Anybody can utilize it?
Again, if their students are enrolled in Russell County, pre-K through 7th grade, they can attend. And if you have an employee for the county, a first responder, or a teacher who may live outside of the school division, we'd like to also offer it to them as well.
Dr. Brown, how many students can you accommodate in these 7 to 9 rooms? Do you
Yes, sir. We've went through each room, and each room's a little different. It could range anywhere from 12 to, there's one room there, the auditorium, which we would consider for the older students. That auditorium in there, we could put 22, 24, and be, socially distanced and so forth. And all the guidelines that we operate under now with social distancing and so forth, those things would continue there because it would have to be a school-based program. So we would have all of the guidelines that we have in place now in the schools. We would mimic those in the learning center.
Minimum 12.
The smallest one would be 12. The largest one could be 24 probably.
How do you, what happens if you just are overwhelmed?
That's a great question and a concern that I have.
Is there a prioritization? First come, first served?
Well, again, that's something we'll have to look at through the registration process. My hopes would be that we could look at additional rooms in the building. Again, we've got a huge building here, and we've tried to occupy everything we could there to keep that isolated. It's a lot easier to control. Oh, also, we have spoken with the sheriff, and he is supportive of us offering, much like a football game stipend or what have you, for an SRO to be on site. That's included in our estimate as well. But to answer your question, Mr. Breeding, I think we can handle in this environment 70, 80 students easily, maybe a few more. But if it does become an overflow situation, we have a couple extra rooms that we've identified here. And then if it is that popular, then I would go knock on our county administrator's door and ask him if we could look at a few more offices and open rooms here in the government center.
I would really like to see the input you get back from the county residents, to see, to make sure, because I think that, as far as a pilot project like that, it could be overwhelming.
It could be. We have spoken with other school divisions. In the state of Virginia, we have 132 school divisions. We have approximately 60 that have went to this point and have engaged a school-based daycare program. And no one has said that it has become an overwhelming possibility for them, but I'm sure there always could be the first.
Do you have some of that we can look at?
As far as what the other, yes, that's no problem. I can produce that. I can get that to Mr. Lester tomorrow.
Sure. I'm kind of like David. This is great for my district. Level. But for the other areas, I read that transportation's on the campus. So it runs from 6 in the morning. 7 in the morning.
Yes, 7 to 6.
To 6 o'clock.
You have broadband in Castlewood and on that through Belfast and different areas of the region. I mean, you have broadband capability in just about all these areas. There's pockets of Sword Creek School, and you still have the empty Gibbons Elementary School that would be an asset for a pilot project like this. It was actually set up to use playground equipment for Head Start. Head Start moved out. Am I not correct?
You referred to Gibbons?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, sir.
So I mean, and that could be an opportunity because it's already wide used.
Absolutely, and that's something I would work with Lovelace to explore those other areas to see what's available to us and who's willing to help us out with that. The thing about us having a government entity here, that helps as far as the Bay Corps is concerned. Reaching out and partnering with one of our fellow churches or something of that nature, that's something we would have to look into. I'm sure we can make it happen, but it's a little bit more complex. And again, to me, I think the registration process will guide a lot of that, much like the parent survey we did at the end of June for the operation of the school. Be a very, very similar. We'd get a parent registration out there, and we would have a couple evenings where parents could come and stop by and register their child, and we would have a better idea then of what the situation is as far as overflow is concerned. But one of the good things for our parents is, if we can do this, it's going to take the burden off some of the other plans maybe that they've made, some of the other, some of the burdens on their family, whether we're asking for an aunt or an uncle or a grandma or a grandpa to watch the kids now on their remote days, this would be an opportunity for them to come and do the work here, and then that parent pick them up, much like they do at the end of a regular school day.
Well, I feel like that, as we spoke earlier, back in the summer, when you and Lonzo and I walked the building, I think we need to be fair and equitable to all of our citizens. We've got Gibbons Elementary, which is ready, right there, restrooms, cafeteria, playground. We've got to work with our people. And then at Dank, we've got a community center that is ready. All these are handicap accessible. I really, really think once you get this started, there needs to be a serious look at the rest of the county. We just need to be fair to all of our citizens on either end. Gibbons is absolutely perfect. Right there, ready to go. The Dank Community Center, ready to go. And we've got people that are going to have to be driving, drop a child off here, and then go back to their employment. That's going to make it a little rough sometimes. So if we need to, you need in the next, as soon as you get this going, in the next week or two, you need to be seeing if we need to open something else up for the rest of our folks.
Absolutely. We can include that in the registration process. We can look into those facilities and ask the parents if it's a closer drive for them to come here, or is it a closer drive for them to go to to Gibbons. I mean, really, probably anyone at the Oaks, this direction would be closer for them to come on into Lebanon, I guess. But there's some people, of course, that live on the backside of Honeacre or along the county line for Tazewell or what have you. There would be much more convenient for them to go to Gibbons, and then also the community center you have here at the. You're talking about the community center right there in front of the high school, Castlewood.
There or Dank, either one. That would be. Yeah.
But the fairground,
We got that new
building.
The fairgrounds is under renovation right now.
They not done?
Well, they're still working on the HVC. So
Anything gonna be done?
it depends upon the trying to get the parts for it right now. We talked to the Brady. The HVAC. It's a large room.
Well, Madam Chair, if I
But
may.
the problem is it doesn't have internet. These rooms have to have with their
Fiber.
Google. It has to have fiber. It's,
So if I may interject here, I echo my peers here, yes. And so to make this very clear, my family member would have to drive from St. Paul Castlewood, Dank, up to Lebanon and drop off a child. And then go back if they're working in the Wise County area, which Coburn, Clintwood, Scott County, further on into Kingsport, because a lot of my constituents are in that area. So they would have to come back up here and pick up a child. So I understand this is the central location, and I understand that Honeacre has its own areas that it goes into Buchanan County and feeds into Dickinson County, and that's the workforce that leaves this county and goes into other areas. And so I think it's crucial that we, and I echo Madam Chair's comments, that we make sure that this might be a pilot, but it needs to have some stringencies on it that is going to be looked at in other venues. Childcare is definitely what we need to do here. Also, I want to make a comment, if I may, and further this. It says the temporary program will be funded by the CARES Act received by the Russell County Board of Supervisors. Did you get CARES Act money?
I did. Yes,
So
ma'am.
we're sharing? So you're putting in money into this and we're putting in money into this?
Well, we're taking care of the feeding of the children. We're taking care of the management of the operation. So there is some in-kind money. I will say that the Board of Supervisors got 4 times as much money as the Board of Ed got as well, ma'am. But again, that's something I have to ask my board about. But that's a decision that I'll ask them for
Okay, and
guidance
and I
on.
understand that, don't
Yeah.
wanna stick you on this point, but I wanna make sure that the public understands
Sure.
how the funding is all working.
Yes,
So, another thing, I see that the total cost here, I do appreciate the fact that you're partnering with United Way and Workforce Development. I'm on that board for Workforce Development. We do have that, we've had that conversation, yes. And I think that I immediately called Mr. Lester and said Gibbons Elementary, whatever could work for Mr. Eaton's area. And we all need to be trying to working together in this. So I don't, we've never been here before, and as everybody knows, I'm just yammering, so I'm gonna shut up. But those were some of my questions, but I thank you. The idea, we all have to think outside the box these days, so the idea is definitely needed. But I don't know how to make it equitable at this time, so I'm depending on you guys.
Also, down in Cleveland, we have, internet at the Cleveland Community Center and at the, old school up there. So that would be some places too, cause that's, in that area there, you don't have hardly any internet in Back Valley, Phoenix, all that area.
When,
When I first looked at this, I read through it again, and I thought, it looks an awful lot like a school. Is the reason you're doing this in a different location is that you don't have room in the existing schools?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. There are some school divisions that are going back 4 days a week. It's a function of three things: transportation, and then physical capacity within the buildings, and then the third one is staffing. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to look at bringing back our kindergarten, first, second, maybe even third grade students within the first 2-3 weeks of school. But the driving factor to that are those three things. I had a list today. I had it on my desk by about 9:45 today of every bus and how many kids were on each bus this morning. I'm going to have the same thing for this afternoon. I'll have it waiting on me in the morning as well. So we're going to analyze those numbers to see if we were to bring back all of our kindergarten, first, second, third grade, could we have that safely on the bus? Then we're going to look at the classrooms as well. Within the classrooms, do we have a situation where it can be safely social distance in the classroom if we were to add the rest of those students on the hybrid model? So we're going to be looking at that as well. And then staffing is the final piece. For some rooms that are not big enough, what we do have is we have an instructional aide that's already assigned to that room. So what we can do, if the building is big enough, there's another room elsewhere, what we can do is take half the class in one room, half the class in the other, and the teacher and that aide switch out about every 30 minutes, and the teacher gets them started on the lesson, and then they go, and the aide steps in and facilitates the rest of that lesson. So those three things are the key things. There's no way that we can bring back every single student 4 days a week right now. We just don't have enough room in our buildings. And maybe that's a good thing in one aspect, because those that are doing it because they've had significant enrollment loss beyond ours over the last 10 years.
Another question, Stan. Sure. You lost students because of homeschooling. Homeschooling.
Sure. We have approximately 85 students a year that apply for homeschooling. There's requirements that they have to meet and so forth as far as providing documentation back to us and such. We haven't got a final number yet for this year. They've got, again, a grace period, but it's not out of the line. It could be up a small, very small percentage. No, not anything significant.
I'm just relaying questions.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, please feel free to ask me any questions.
and if you don't mind,
The sooner you can get them back into school,
Absolutely.
so back where we are.
and just to continue on the fairgrounds questions or the facility questions, when we looked at these, the schools, they have certain requirements that almost has to mimic or parallel what the school requirements are. They got to have security, safety, heat, bathrooms, etc. So it's like the school. They got to have all of it. Right now, at the fairgrounds, they don't have a kitchen, and Dane Community Center has one. They're fully in their own high speed. So Dank given school has a full VDH kitchen, which was used by People Inc., so that could be in consideration. Dank, Givens, and even down into Cleveland, they're all high speed. They all have kitchens in them. They're fully operational. They're all VDH certified, so you can take a look at those too.
I spoke to our building inspector as well. We'd have to have the fire marshal come through and
Yes.
grace all these facilities because there's a higher standard when you have K-12 students involved, minors involved in anything of this nature. So there's a different set of standards we have to operate by. But if People's Inc.'s already been there and operated those facilities, unless the facility has changed since they left, then it should be acceptable. That'll be something the fire marshal would have to give us a final approval on. Please.
When my family, my wife's family, had daycare, certified daycare out here in the department, I know the Department of Social Services had funded to the state that paid for some for certain parents. Now, I know we have some people here that serve on the Department of Social Services board, but I know that's an avenue for funding. You know, I mean, to me, I'm like some of the other my board members have spoken. Pilot programs are good, some I think, but once you get people doing something or invested in it, they want to see it long term. Now, if we commit to doing this, and people say, well, you know, I don't know why you quit. You started a good thing and then you quit. Well, who's going to pick the tab up if it becomes something that's such a need? Who's going to pick up the tab after the fact and say, well, you know, we've got ourselves in a bind. Now people put pressure on us to want to have this full time. Now you're going to cut it off. You're going to end it. Starting something's fine. I think there needs to be a contingency plan, because if you do build it out to every end of the county, the working people, and not even just the working people, just the normal grandparents that want to take that child, they're going to be looking for it again. You know, if it works, it might not work, but I'm just saying, if it's a pilot program and people get used to it, they'll want to see it on a continual basis. So, from when the money runs out, who's going to pick up the tab?
Well, the money that the school division has for CARES Act expires September 30th, 2022. I know that the act that you currently have, your CARES Act money again expires December 31st of this year.
Right.
Are there additional monies coming our way? We don't
Well,
know
that's
the stimulus packages we're going to go through. We hope they will. But, you know, as far as what we were planning with this is communicate up front that this is, again, a temporary program that we're putting in place to help until we can get back to full scale. I mean, I hate to say it, but schools have a dual purpose. You know, the legal purpose to educate students, but that secondary purpose, schools do take care of the children from, 8 o'clock to 3:15. If you go to the after-school program or 21st program, you can go to 5:30. So that's a secondary component that we just can't offer at this point in time for all of our kids. But again, hopefully after the turn of the year, again, whether it be a month or 2 months or what have you, hopefully before the end of the school year, we're going to be back face-to-face 5 days a week without masks and without, all of these guidelines that have just really, I guess, restricted how school division can safely operate. So hopefully we'll get back the old system of taking care of the kids, because if we're back to 5 days a week, there won't be a need for a pre-K-7 daycare, because they're all going to be in school.
That was going to be one of my questions. How long do you think it's going to be before we get back to normal? You answered that. And then my next question is supervisor at law.
Okay.
The thing of depriving students in different districts of not being able to take part, participate on these programs and talk about different communities. Talk about Lebanon now, that we brought about Dane, home names of different places. Are they going to be deprived of the education of the other students?
I'm sorry, can you say that Again, Mr. Christian, I'm sorry.
If you want to have this program start in 11, and then reach about Dane, Homeacre, and Castlewood, if this program that you're talking about starting in 11 is not implemented in other districts, aren't you depriving those students of getting the education that these particular students will?
Well, we're not going to deprive anyone of that opportunity to get an education, but it's kind of like buying a truck. Do you need an F-150 or do you need a F-350? We don't know how many people are going to be interested in this. If we do this and we got 40 people that are interested in this, you're talking about 20 people that we roughly have described for this facility. If we had another where we could combine some grade levels, again, are we looking at 30, 40 people that we're going to employ for 35, 40, 45 kids? We just don't know those variables yet. That's where we need to start and to see how much we do need. And if we need it, we'll definitely, expand the program and get that out there. Absolutely. But you're asking a question, I guess, Mr. Christian, that I can't answer at the moment because I just don't know how many people are going to be interested in the program. Hopefully a lot. Again, the Workforce Development Board said that basically people can't get back to working full time until the kids are in school full time. Well, we can take care of 2/5 of that. This will provide the other 3/5 of that need. So hopefully that'll take the burden off of our stakeholders, our employees, our parents, to find someone to watch their child, whether it be again grandma, grandpa, aunt or uncle, or neighbor, or whomever. That's a great point. But we're going to reach out as quickly as we can. Again, we're going to try to get our kids back in school, our kindergarten, first, second, third graders within the first 2 or 3 weeks of school. We'll do the same thing with this program. If we can get it off the ground and get it going, again, we can do an analysis over a couple weeks to see what the true demand is, and then we can make adjustments accordingly. Maybe we don't need a program as big as this. Maybe we can combine 2 grade levels at Homeacre and Castlewood, maybe where we can't combine 2 grade levels. So where we need 10 positions here, we might need 4 or 5 positions at Homeacre and Castlewood. Again, it's just too many variables that I really can't speak to at the moment.
Hey, a question has come up, and I think you've already addressed it, is the safety of the students. Sheriff Dye did say he would provide a resource officer here at the premises, correct?
Yes, ma'am. In the work that Mr. Lester and I did with trying to develop a plan, one of the things that we talked about was an SRO on site. And I did reach out to the sheriff, spoke to him personally, and basically what we're going to look at is the SROs for an athletic contest, a basketball game, a football game. They get paid $20 an hour. So our thoughts were we could ask those officers that are not on duty if they'd like to go ahead and suit up, and that give them an opportunity again to receive some additional compensation, and that they could be the SROs there for the facility for the day.
And another question that's come up is, I'm assuming this from being with the school, they're saying, well, can the kids not come to the school and then get on a bus and ride over here? But if you're opening at 7 for parents to get back to school, the buses aren't at the school at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So have you thought about that?
Yeah, the program is not designed for us to take kids from the school to the program, because the students that we're speaking of are the students that are going to be on their remote learning day. So
parents going to work and the kid is coming here.
Exactly. With us, we actually were originally thinking of a little shorter time window. Then, in speaking about that very thing, the parents making the call to bring the child to the school and drop the child off, and then picking the child up in the afternoon. We needed that extra time, so that 7 to 6 accommodates that.
For parents to get back to wherever they need to work, and they need to be there by 8. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
Madam Chair, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the board tonight, Mr. Lester, board members. We appreciate your consideration.
One
of
more
partnering
question.
with.
Are you gonna follow the same protocol that you do at the school? Take their temperature, their checklist of when a kid, just the same as if a child's in school, you're gonna follow the same protocol here. Take their temperature if they're sick, have a nurse look at them, make that
Exactly.
decision. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have a
We'll
nurse on
follow
call.
the same protocol.
We'll have a nurse on call. One of the great things here about this location is we've got 3 nurses within five minutes, I guess, to get here, so that shouldn't be an issue. And the same issues we're going to be dealing with our schools with short-term closures periodically, whether it be the entire school division or a strand or a school, we'll still run into that very thing with the learning center. So we will have most likely situations where we have a student that tests positive and they have to come in and do contact tracing, and they'll say that these 6 kids have to be quarantined or this class has to be quarantined and so forth. Hopefully our social distancing and masks and so forth will help mitigate some of that, but it doesn't do all.
No, but you do have your checklist and you already have your protocol in place.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you much. Anyone else have any other questions?
So how many, like if down in the Cleveland area, if they've got 12 or 15, are you going to consider the Cleveland Community Center or the school? How many is it going to take in the area before you can, how many kids?
Again, that's something we can look at. I don't have a number on top of my head, Mr. Ray, is it going to be 8 or 12 or what have you, but if there's a need there, again, and we have the funds to take care of that, we're going to do it. So, again, we're not going to leave anyone out. But again, we just got to start somewhere and figure out, because listen, we're going to make mistakes. It's just like today being the first day of school. We had a great start, by the way, but there were a couple of things we got to get ironed out. Okay, things that we just didn't realize, were going to happen. You can plan and plan and plan. Same type of thing here. We're going to put this in place, and there'll be some adjustments we're going to have to
It's going to
make.
be a work in progress every day.
Yes, ma'am.
So we get it right for the children. Yep. Yep. That's the most important thing.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
All right. Discussion among the board members. I mean, is this something that you all would like to make a motion that we go ahead and fund this? Do you want to talk some more? You got any more thoughts among all of us as we're still here so we can talk?
I'd like to be able to get the information back, let them all that, and see. I think this is not gonna work unless you do it.
So we're going to have to fund them to start with to get
You've
started.
got to start.
Got to start somewhere. And then what? Dr. Brown, would 2 a week, would that give you enough time to know your numbers, or do you need 2 weeks to figure out your numbers? Because I agree, we've got to, and I'm going to speak for myself.
Sure.
I lived in Roseville, but I worked at Swordsville. It would have been hard for me to have to run all the way to here, go back up there for bus duty at 7:30, teach all day, get off bus duty, run back down here and pick my kids up, and then go back home to Roseville. I'm just trying to think of what our parents need to make it good that their kids are getting in an environment and they're learning. And I know it's going to take 3 times the staff, I understand that, 3 times the meal delivery, I get it. But how soon can you get this information to David and the rest of us that we'll know, is one place going to work, or am I going to have to
Now,
spread
the
it out?
information I believe Mr. Deaton was asking for was how the other school divisions that are implementing these programs do.
Okay. But I want
As far as how many we need in Cleveland and how many we need in Castlewood and Onaker, really until we do a registration process, we're not going to know that. The thing about feeding kids, listen, we've done it. Some of you guys have helped. We bust 339,918 meals to students in Russell County, by the way. 399,918 meals. But that's not an issue. The concern I had is the people that are going to apply for these positions. If we hire them and we hire how many?
Yeah.
6 there and 7 here and 3 or
And
2
then
in
you
Cleveland and 21 over here, and then all of a sudden we realize we don't need that many people.
Yeah.
What are we telling those folks there as well? You know what I'm saying? It's just a situation where it's I guess kind of like a chicken and egg thing, which comes first. You know, we can't really give you an idea of what the numbers that we're going to need are until we get the program started, see what the registration will be, and so that's again that's the problem. But again, I'm more than happy to do whatever the board wants, whatever information they want, I'll get. But to really know what's needed in Castlewood, Honeacre, and Cleveland, and other areas in the county, it's going to take a registration process. What I envisioned is if the board supports us moving forward, what we can do is have an evening registration, actually later on this week or beginning of next week, and have that information in hand. We've already started the process of speaking to people as far as interviews are concerned for some of these positions. We've got plenty more yet to speak to, but we've really started that process. So I think by the 21st, we can definitely have a registration done and staffing established and a needs for each area, I guess, determined.
If school goes back full time, how critical would the need be then?
Well, again, if we go back full time, this is a focus on pre-K 7 students. So these students would not be going to the learning center. So these students would be going back to school. But again, what's the timeline on that? Do you watch CNN or do you watch Fox? So is it going to be the end of October, or is it going to be the beginning of March before we have one available, so that we can have a vaccination available in mass? I just don't know. So again, there's a lot of unknowns.
So your registration process is going to generate information, but you'll accept registrations from all over.
Oh, sure.
If you get a bunch in Honeacre, a bunch in Castle, you're committed to go ahead and look and see what you're doing in those areas.
Sure. Maybe we start off for a week or so, if everyone here, and then we can look at getting those people in and getting them trained, and then getting them in place while Mr. Lovelace and his team, gets all the fiber in place, and we get Mr. Ray in there, and the building inspector and the fire inspector in. Because all of this still requires a certificate per site for us to do this. So it's not like we can just bring the kids in tomorrow and start. We still have to go through a process to get all of that approved. Again, I'm not the expert on exactly what those guidelines are, but if you're saying that our friends with the daycare facility you mentioned,
People Incorporated.
People Incorporated, thank you. If our friends with People Incorporated were in those buildings, we're probably okay.
Yeah. How long would it take you to get the registration out there to get the information back so we can see it?
What I would recommend is that we do some type of evening registration. We can get, again, we have to get some people hired. But what we can do is bring them in and do an evening registration from 4 to 7 for 3 nights or something like that, 3 evenings. So people can come in, sit down, fill out the paperwork. If their students if these students are already in Russell County, it's not going to be an issue. We have like a 1-page document. If it's an employee who works here at the treasurer's office, they happen to live outside of the county, or kids go there, that would be a little bit more detailed. But basically, what I would envision is probably 2 or 3 evenings of open registration, and then we could react to that data at that point in time. So to me, I would think, maybe the end of this week, beginning of next week, then we can bring people in and train them. Then we could probably open up not the 14th, the 21st.
I think you're meeting the need. It's not the same as going back to school, but it's pretty darn close.
It is.
I know and I understand if you have to start. Wanda, we have, what's the status for COVID?
I'll be going through that here shortly. And one of the things that caught my attention on this program was, of course, it was the daycare between A and B, but it came from Workforce Development Board. It gave an opportunity for the parents being able, where they get their job back to where it was stable, because you got your kids coming home. If you got a pre-K at home during that time, you can't get continuity on your hours or your job. So this gave an opportunity to fill that void. So
I don't like it when you call it daycare. It's a learning center.
yeah, it is. It's a learning center.
What about kids with disabilities, Down syndrome?
Well,
They're going
again,
to school.
They're going to
it's
So they're in full time.
it's not a school. So if someone, okay,
I'm just saying,
First
if you
they-
had one child that wasn't in school, you
students
have
with
a
special
child
needs.
that's in and has special needs. So it's a burden on the family, so they said, well, why can't you take this, my other
Schools are
child?
taking
I
them.
thought they're.
They can come to school.
Students
They're
with
in
special
school
needs.
now.
can
They're
come
No,
to
I'm talking about a kid that's not enrolled in school. I'm talking about a child that's not enrolled in school.
Oh, this is only for pre-K through 7, 8.
But it's a child, the family has a child in school. It could be what?
Well,
It could be, it starts pre-K.
But you're not set up, they're not set up.
again, this
I'm
is
just asking.
a branch of the school system, but it's not the K-12 instructional
Okay,
base.
well, you just answered.
Yeah. So that for our special needs students, they can attend 4 days a week now at school. So that's that. that
Okay,
should
well,
be
you
the-
answered my question. I didn't know that.
It's okay.
All right. At this time, do we have a motion from a board member that reads that we fund $150,000 to start their pilot program?
I'll make that motion.
Got that, Carl? All right, do we have a second?
I'll see.
Steve? All those in favor?
Aye.
Just, Madam Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can we have a little more clarity to the motion, Carl? I don't want to put you on the spot, and I'm not disagreeing. But, a little more clarity to the motion that would perhaps lend itself that it will look at the other areas that we've discussed per this discussion. Can you tweak that, motion to?
Well, I just made the suggestion, Carl, if you want to, Katie, you want to help him make his motion that, let's just,
I like to withdraw my motion.
Carl, your second, and then he'll say a little more too. All right, Carl?
However you all want to say. Yes, that's nice, that's good, Carl, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, so forgive me,
Well, I
but yes.
agree with that, that's what I.
Because
I wanna
Carl's
make sure
district
that all of the county, you know, if
Yes.
Cleveland's got so many, I'll make a motion that we cover every kid K through 7.
Pre-K through 7, correct?
Uh-huh.
Pre-K through 7.
To look at the different areas in Cleveland, I like it's the same.
Does that satisfy everyone? Did y'all hear him?
I'm not gonna vote no, but I am gonna.
Carl, he didn't hear you well enough. Scoot over closer to your mic.
Okay, I'll, make the motion to fund this pilot program, considering that, you know, they look at all areas of our county, the students' needs.
And Steve second, all right?
For discussion.
Yes, please.
I'm gonna abstain. The reason I am is because I wanna see this information first before and when I get the information, I'll be more support of it throughout the whole county, and to see the financial obligation prior to that. It's not that I'm against it, it's just I honestly, Dr. Brown, in all respect, this is just kind of thrown on us here tonight. And I like to communicate, and kind of filter everything and not just spontaneously vote on things pretty quick. So I would like to research this out a little bit more and get that information from Dr. Brown, and then I'll come back at the next meeting with my either support or not.
I understand that. The reason I'm going to support this is that I think you've got, in order to do the registration, you have to have a program to register. So it's the first step. I feel if it wasn't in my district, I'd probably do something.
Well,
But I do want,
I understand.
I want to see it looked at. I think Dr. Brown is committed that he will look if he gets registration.
I don't want them to come back and say, well, it's not going to work out in those areas. That'd be the worst advice that we could give to the constituents all over the county, because we say, well, you did it for one, you can't do it for all. That's a real bad taste in people's mouth, I think. And if it costed a little extra money to make it work in other areas of Castlewood, Cleveland, and Honaker, and Gibbons, Belfast, wherever, just in the whole county, as long as you're equally fair to everybody, I'd be fine. I'd like to digest some of the information and some of the registration information. I would like to see in my district how many people would participate in a program like that, because it'd be worth the investment, because you get a good return on that. You know, if I just knew, it might be 100 people might sign up. You don't know.
But I think that, by us supposed to do this, that we are laying the foundation, Dr. Brown, doing, restoration and getting information.
But I'd just like to see it. I'd like to see the
I
information.
know, but maybe in the meantime, you're holding up.
No, I'm not holding it up.
You don't really know if you have a project.
I just want to
That's
see it.
right.
I want to see the data.
All right, call for the vote, Madam Chair. Call for the vote now. Katie, should we call one at a time, or do you think you two, this is live, we're okay, we just all say yay?
Yeah, you don't have to do a roll call vote.
Oh, okay, all right. All those in favor of this motion? Aye. Anyone opposed? And one abstain. Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Dr. Brown. And get it started for our kids, please. Next thing we have is Ms. Pat Gray, the Constitutional Week resolution. Pat, would you like to read it, or do you want me to read it for you? Okay. Constitution Week. Whereas September 8th, 2020 marks the 233rd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document in the anniversary of its creation, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize the patriotic celebration which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 815 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September the 17th through the 23rd, 2020 as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, at the request of the Tabitha Adams Russell chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution, I, Rebecca Dye, Chairperson of the Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim September the 17th through the 23rd, 2020 to be Constitutional Week in Russell County, Virginia, as the citizens to affirm the ideals and framers of the Constitution had in 1787. So do we have a motion to accept?
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve this and authorize you to sign.
All right, Steve, do we have a second?
I'll say.
David? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Ms. Pat, we will get this signed for you, and you will be good to go. And in the meantime, while I'm signing these, Mr. Nolan Stevens with the Lebanon Rescue Squad, COVID first responders, would like to speak with us. Thank you, Nolan.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Really, I'm here actually kind of representing Lebanon Life Saving Crew. My name is Nolan Stevens. I'm currently the captain of the Life Saving Crew. and also hopefully, respectfully speaking for all the EMS agencies in our county, we have been through some pretty trying times over the past few months. I have, unfortunately, with the process with COVID that we've faced, I've been struck with the COVID. As far as I know, probably one of the first EMS providers in our county that was positive. So being, the leader, I guess, of my place there at Lebanon, I guess, lead by example as far as that. But and it really puts a bird's eye view on what we're facing. Not only, all these things came out with, what we're seeing at different ages, of course, it focused on the elderly, nursing home type, patients and things like that. But also during this time, my 1-year-old daughter was positive, and we saw. So we've seen firsthand on what this stuff can do, this disease can do. It is for real. You get a lot of different opinions. Oh, this is about this is about that. This is for real. It is rough. I know we have other citizens in our county that several of the numbers have increased that have experienced a lot worse than I have. And knowing what I experienced, it was pretty rough. So what I'm actually speaking for is one thing of appreciation. I want to thank you all. We've unfortunately missed the first meeting, was able to attend the second meeting of the funding process that you all have approved for our agencies. Mr. Lester, meeting with them, Mr. Wars, you were there, Mr. Ray was there, and so it just really, it's really open. You're laying on the table. What are we facing? In my opinion, we want this thing to be over as soon as possible. We want to move on, but I'm not for sure how convenient that will be. We have to look on the terms of a long-term deal. What we're responding to, can I sit here and say, hey, well, I was exposed to this virus, on my ambulance? No, I can't, because you know what, we, fortunately have been provided the protective equipment, personal protective equipment, and all. I went, step by step. Even me in my household, step by step, disinfecting all these things that come into play. Gloves, gowns, face masks, goggles, all this protective equipment, and still, it's there. You just don't know. I feel more protected in the back of my ambulance than I do walking through the local, grocery stores. But the big thing is what you all are doing for us. As we're speaking for EMS, we do appreciate it. I mean, every cent counts. We've been funded. Each agency, has been given, the amounts as far as to help. We've already been able to purchase uniforms because we get on a patient that's exposed, and really right now we're being instructed to treat every patient as though it's positive, because you don't know. Actually, to kind of give you an example, whenever I was tested positive, a little bit of a dry cough, a little bit of a cotton mouth kind of deal at work, at my other location where I work, and came home that evening, took some ibuprofen, laid down. Next morning I felt fine, temperature 97.2. I clean up, go to work, and just my fiance, she's like, hey, you're going to be on an ambulance tonight. Just to be precautious, as though we try to be, why don't you go get a rapid test? Just so, called family physician, got an order for a rapid test. I said, well, I'll catch me some lunch while I'm out during lunch break, take a rapid test. Little did I know that my call was going to come back that I was positive. So, I go home that evening, contact the health department, do the local protocols. I get on my lawnmower and I mow grass. Okay, next morning I get up and I mow grass. I'm in the field up above my house and I pressure wash some on the house. And then so it's you don't know. You have no idea, really when you have this, when it's going to really hit you and what symptoms. So many different symptoms. So us as a county, us with what we're doing, I feel we are going to get worse before it gets better. I feel, very supportive of, of course, our schools, as though was presented before, of what we're doing with our kids, getting them back to school, trying our best to get back to a norm. But us as EMS providers, we have to try to be prepared for the worst. And so, what you all have done, for us and moving, and I understand we're going to be back. There's funding. We're aware that there's funding coming to help us, and we do appreciate that. We are moving forward. Like I said, as Lebanon, we've purchased uniforms. Able to, we go in, we get exposed or something, then, we're going to also, get cleaning, just industrial washers and dryers at our facility where we can wash those and have them, freshly cleaned while we're still at the station, but yet, switching into a different uniform. So, we're blessed because of the funding that y'all presented to us to be able to do those things. We're looking, even advanced procedures, advanced airway procedures in our ambulances that we're restricted of doing that because of the COVID. We're able to purchase, laryngoscopes, video laryngoscopes, where we don't actually have to be down in that patient's airway, where we can get a distant visual of what we're doing for them. So, without your help, that would be very difficult. And also it does affect the community because, if we can't do those procedures in advanced emergency situations, the likelihood of even maybe saving a life could be enhanced. But I do want to thank you all. And like I said, this kind of gives you our responsibilities. I know each agency, we have different call volumes. We have different, size coverage areas, and that makes a difference. But we're all in need. We're all needing that support. I know Lebanon, we do have probably the largest coverage area in Russell County. We do have the highest numbers of call volume, and we also probably have the highest numbers of COVID cases. So, what you all are doing is a great asset to us to help us and protect them. Not only the community, but protecting us as EMS providers. There's not, EMS providers are very scarce. It's very difficult, whenever, we go out on a 10-day to 14-day quarantine. Well, that's taken me off that ambulance for 2 weeks. And some of the agencies, which Lebanon's one of them, we're not all volunteer. We do have employees, so that that increases the funding, that increases overtime, that increases everything is challenged. I'm sure with everything else, but I do. I'm basically here to say thank you. Thank you for what you're doing, and we are. We will. Be communicating with Mr. Lester. I want to shout out as far as to Mr. Powers, to Jess. He is a phone call away from us. Every time that we needed anything with PPE and stuff like that, he's a phone call away. He's been there. So I feel we're blessed to have support. And like I said, we do have needs. We're going to have more needs, and you're probably going to see us again. And we just lay it. We put it on the table what we feel our needs are. Like I said, my needs may be a little bit greater, a little bit more intense than some other agencies' needs at their time. They may have something available to them that I don't. But I do. My purpose here tonight is to basically to say thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing for our EMS. You're basically there putting us out there for greater support for our community. And like I said, I think that we are. I think we're going to see higher numbers before we see this. But I do want to thank you all for what you do.
To take just a second break for pictures, please. Miss Pat asked that we have a picture with us signing her Declaration of Constitutional Week. So if y'all don't care, and we will try to social distance. Now, how did you want? You want 4 in the back, 3 in the front, and 1 in the front. All right.
Taking a picture.
I can have this on the table.
Oh no.
the agenda is, a presentation from Mr. Cody Edwards with the, Waste Management Authority. Cody?
Good evening. I guess I'll start off. One of the things that I sent over to Katie and Lonzo was, it goes along with just our speaker just before, was a policy that the Waste Authority looked at for COVID for employees or the employees at the transfer stations. And anyway, to be in compliance and to be where we needed to be, my board at its last meeting approved, working with our attorney, developed a very, very good layout for a COVID policy for all the people working at the 3 facilities. I went to the Dickinson County Board meeting and they approved the COVID policy, and I sent that over to you all. And I'd like to ask this board to approve. It's not changing the manpower agreement, but basically an addendum, adding it to the manpower agreement. I think you have that on your agenda later on tonight, is the manpower agreement. But Katie, you're not.
Yes, we have the addendum. That's the only thing that we're taking up tonight is that.
Okay.
But I do have that, and that is under me.
All right, thank you. If you all do approve that tonight, I will then, the process will be, I'll be attending Buchanan County Board of Supervisors meeting next Monday night, and I'll take you with me then. So, Katie, you're Alonzo, just let me know on that. The next item that I have for you all to review is a little background, as you can see in the letter that's posted on the screen. I sent over a little background on a matter that we have at all 3 of our locations, Buchanan, Dickinson, and Russell, is the issue of tires. As you can see in the background, for many years now, we have been working with West Virginia Tire. They're based in Summersville, West Virginia, and they've been collecting or providing us with a trailer that we load, and then they take it back to their facility. And that cost has been $76 per ton. Over the last few months, maybe a little longer than that, we've been having some issues with being able to get trailers. You know, they've had issues just like everybody in America with keeping employees, being able to retain employees during this COVID crisis. And, you know, a few weeks ago, Brian, myself, and some employees from Buchanan County took a couple loads of tires up to them. And we got to see a really big eye-opening with their facility and how it's run, and potentially how it's going to be for long term for us. To give you an idea of where we're at now, we're at maximum capacity on taking in tires, especially at Russell and Dickinson County. We are at almost to the point of being able to not accept tires, because we're only allowed by our permit by the state of Virginia to only accept so many tires or have so many tires on the ground at any one time. So we have an issue. All 3 of us have an issue. And 2 board meetings ago, my board charged me with finding some costs, some solutions for addressing this issue, and how we could remedy it full-time and permanently. So in your packet that I submitted over to you, I proposed to my board, and they approved at my last board meeting unanimously, of option 7 is to purchase 2 sidewall tire cutting machines, one for Buchanan, or one for Russell, and one for Dickinson, and a tire shear, which is basically a machine that cuts through tires and rims. And this would take care of our tire issue. And how that would take care of our tire issue is that we can send tires to our current landfill, but they have to be cut. We can't send whole tires because in theory, and by the state regulations, if you put a tire in the bottom of the landfill, it will come back to the top. It ruins the cap, it ruins the landfill. But if you cut it in half, it will not come back up. That's the regulations. And so looking at that, this tire sidewall cutting machine is the most cost-effective, economical way that we can address getting rid of our tires and being able to accept tires into the future. Looking at some numbers, as I mentioned earlier, we're currently being charged, or the counties are being charged $76 per ton. If we start throwing or putting them in the landfill or in our trash, you will go from Russell, and I'll give you as an example, you'll go from $76 a ton to $34.17 a ton is what you'll be paying. That's a difference of $41.83. If you keep your current rate, that $41.83 will go back into your general fund. That's one way for you all to generate money. Looking at all three combined, by going with this solution, we'll save, the counties, all three combined, will save annually, based on our tonnages that we're currently getting in on tires, annually you'll save an additional $20,985 is what all three combined will save by being able to cut them ourselves, take care of our tires, and not having to worry about a third-party vendor. To pay for these tire machines, as you can see, the two machines, Buchanan and for Dickinson and Russell, is going to be $13,800. In our current budget, the Waste Authority, we have our finance manager and myself are estimating we have a little over $20,000 left in our account. That's combined. As you well know, the way our articles are, that was just passed in the earlier part of this year, it's divided by 3 and given back to the counties, any surplus. So we have enough left over that no one county would have to pay for these machines and fix their problem. What I'm here tonight, based on those articles of incorporation that was just updated and passed, I'm here tonight requesting that the balance, which if you divide that by 3, it's a little over $7,000 each county, that the Waste Authority is to keep that money, pay for these machines, and take care of the tire problem. The county's not being out any more money and get these problems, fixed. The Waste Authority at our last meeting voted to purchase the machines and take care of our tires and be able to take care of our customers. To give you an example, in Dickinson County, over the last few months, we've had to turn or cut off the tire companies, the little mom and pop tire dealers, from being able to bring their tires in. And so we have to address this. In all 3 of our counties, the Waste Authority and the county and the transfer station are their only outlet for tires. Without us being able to take tires, they can't get rid of them. And Brian and I was talking earlier today and this week, there's counties or tire dealers here in Russell County that have been going to other places. They're now starting to come to the county because it's cheaper. As you can see in the quotes that I received, our closest tire company that would actually take the tires is Patriot Tire over in next to the Pinnacle. If you know where the Pinnacle's at, there's a tire dealer down there. And they gave us a quote, and it's in your bid or in your packet here. It is option number 1. Their cost per tire or per ton is $135 per ton. When I saw that, I was like, wow. our counties can't afford that, nor can public, you know, a general person bringing in tires. You know, but at $76 a ton, our companies in our counties are accustomed to that, and they are happy to pay that. But that's just to give you some thought there on other options. But I'm here respectfully requesting that the $7,000, it's $7,100 that we have left over from Russell County, that you all allow us to keep that and pay for these machines and take care of the tire.
And your board voted.
Our board voted to do that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. And now that we have a second, can I give just a little bit of discussion? This is something that I think needs to be said. You know, this came up because of the COVID-19 and the issue with West Virginia Tire. That's how this got started. But even if that had never happened, this is just the right thing to do because it saves us money. It keeps us accepting tires from our local dealers, and we got to take care of our tire businesses. It's just
At $135 a ton, it'll go over to you.
I'll go over in my district over here. Don't do this. Well, thank you. All right. Thank you.
Alright. Any further discussion?
I can hear you, but it don't sound like it's on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The question is, now, I don't have a problem with this idea. But I just need to get some points out.
Yes, ma'am.
On the manpower, so if it's gonna end up costing my county more money.
Good question.
To hire someone to run this issue, and in turn, I'm gonna have, an employee that I'm paying, not that I don't do the job.
Right.
I'm not running the company.
Right.
So, look like it. Hire, qualify, certified, or qualified, whatever.
Okay. That's two good questions, Larry. Good question. Two good questions. Let me address the first one. I'm not asking any of the three counties to hire additional labor. We already have staff at all three locations. Existing staff can utilize the tire machine. We can cut Buchanan, to give you an example. They have a tire machine. That's why we're getting them a tire shear. This being an unexpected, situation, we didn't budget for this. The waste authority did. What I hope to do in our next budget is to buy Russell and Dickinson a tire shear. So everybody has a tire cutter and everybody has a tire shear. And let me explain the difference. A tire cutter that we're buying for Russell and Dickinson cuts the tire. The tire shear, if we get a tire with a rim on it, or a tractor tire from a farm tractor, we can take that shear that'll go on our loaders and cut it in two. So that's why we're wanting to try to budget next year to buy shears for us with Dickinson. To answer your second question, the folks with Buddy Manufacturing, that's who we're buying them from, will provide our staff with training. It's basically, I don't know if everybody got to watch the video. It's fairly simple to use. You simply take the tire, set it on it. You don't have to lift, which I'm all about, employee injury. I don't want any of that. The ones that Dickinson County used to have, that was a employee injury waiting to happen. It was more like an upscale wood splitter. And you had to lift the thing, you had to put it up on the machine. This one you don't. You basically set it up against it, it pulls it up, it cuts the tire, the person flips it around, it pulls it back up, cuts it, and you're done. The shear goes on the end of the loader, so limiting someone's injuries is, minimal. the machine that we're getting, you're not around the blade. The person operating is behind it, controlling from behind. For me, it's the easiest, least amount of getting someone hurt. As far as insurance, it is a part of our duties at the transfer station. Employees in Buchanan, we're using probationers to cut tires. The employees there are supervising them, training them, showing them how to use the machine, and also watching over. But to give you an idea, in about 2 hours they cut 200 tires, and they've about got their tire problem fixed because they have a tire machine. And
have you looked maybe down the road as far as a separator and grinder?
That's a good question too. As you can see, one of the ideas was to look at a tire shredder that we can make molds from.
Yeah.
One of those machines, a mobile one, that's what we originally looked at to begin with, Mr. Eaton, is to buy a tire shredder and we can move it from county to county. But one of those costs around $180,000. And when we didn't budget the counties, I'm not going to say, can I have $180,000?
There you go. You're coming back again.
I'm not.
See?
So this idea was something that we as the waste authority can look at. There may be grants that we can get to buy one of these. There may be a pilot program through EPA that we can buy and make mulch. The mulch can be used for a lot of different things. This mulch is not playground mulch. Let me make that perfectly clear, because you have to take the wires out. But the mulch that this machine would create could be used as daily landfill cover, something we could, maybe sell to our landfill or get a cheaper rate on our trash. It could be used by the PSAs for pipes to use as filler rather than buying gravel. There's some opportunities to use that mulch. But like I said, $169,800 is a lot of money, and I know that we're not in the climate to be asking for money, and I knew that the cheapest way we could do it, and the counties wouldn't be out any money, is option 7, because we had some leftover money from last year. I hope that explains everybody's questions.
It does.
Did I get yours?
You did. I'll let you know if you didn't. But
all right. I just want to make sure I answer everybody's questions.
On another note, you made a statement about the community workforce doing this in another county, and I don't remember the county. You may have said Buchanan County or something. But the question is still out for me, and I've asked if we can ensure that those folks to run this machine, or how that works, how that would work with Russell County, and what the liabilities are here at this county for using that particular kind of labor.
Okay. To give you an idea, Virginia Code 8.01-22.6.8, and I'll read it to you. Civil immunity for public and nonprofit corporations, officials, and private volunteers participating in certain programs for probationers. This is what our programs in all 3 of our counties run on. Our litter pickup programs, our illegal dump cleanups, our probationers at our transfer stations. This is what law that we run under. Even your program here that Missy runs. Probation officers, court personnel, state, county, city, and town personnel, any other public official, and private volunteers who participate in a program where persons on probation or community service are ordered as a condition of their probation or community service to pick up litter along sections of public roadways or waterways, to perform recycling duties at landfills, garbage transfer sites, and other waste disposal systems, to mow right-of-ways, or to perform other landscaping maintenance tasks, or to perform services assigned by such probation, other services assigned by probation officers, court personnel, state, county, city, or town personnel, or private volunteers acting as an approved worksite supervisor of a court-approved voluntary jail diversion program, shall not be liable for any civil damages to a probationer or person on community service or the property of such person, or acts of or omissions resulting from such participation, unless such act or omission is a result of willful misconduct. The provision of this section shall not be interpreted to grant any immunity to a driver transporting the persons or probations or community service person or a motorist who by his negligence may injure such probation or person on community service. That's the law. That's what we run under. And that's what we've used for 16 years now. Frank Kilgore had this passed through legislation to do these programs, to do these sign a highway programs, to be able to use them to do work programs so that probationers, people getting time, can participate and be able to work off their time. And it's been a good program for all of the counties. Russell County in particular, you just have the successful here with Mississippi. And but this is the law that we run under, and this is what we've done.
One more thing, I see that, can pick up litter, recycling, mowing, etc.
Yes.
But in this, I don't see running one of those machines that has a big blade on it. I'm just saying.
I understand.
Recycling to me is taking plastic and separating cardboard and plastic.
But it also
How
says
deep is
other
that
waste
recycling
disposal
go?
systems. Luann, it also says other waste disposal systems.
Okay.
That's working at a transfer station, and we've been working at transfer stations for a long time now. Weed eating, this machine that we're getting, the blades this big. You know, it basically cuts the outer tire out. And I see your concern.
I'm just asking.
And I'm the first one to be concerned. I don't want anybody hurt. But, you know, running a weed eater or a chainsaw is more dangerous than this machine. Because the person operating it has to be behind. And, you know, our workers' compensation, you know, Bud over in Dickinson County, he said it's part of their duties for employees. For the probationers, you know, if there's a community service worker or their caseworker or missing, says this is a part of your probation, this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be going down to the transfer station, and Chad or Melissa will be over your site supervisor. They tell you what you need to do. That's a part of their probation. And we're covered under this civil community. And that's, I'm no judge or no attorney, but that's what we've been using. Buchanan County uses them for everything. You know, they do maintenance, they do work at the transfer stations, the 200 tires. That's probationers doing that with their staff supervising. And it gives them a way to work their time. I mean, it's a good public service for them and to
You said you don't have to hold any kind of license or anything to operate this machine. You're just going to be. They're going to. The people that you buy this from, they're going to train
give
you
us
all.
training, maintenance on it.
So then your staff would train any worker that's coming in.
They would be the site supervisor, as it says in the state statute. Person on site has to be the supervisor.
Okay.
And they're that way with anything we have. You know, Chad has them weed eating. You know, he's their site supervisor, or Melissa, and they make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Katie, I have a question to clarify with this. Is this almost a two-part motion? Do we need first to take the money back within the county and then reappropriate it to make the purchase? Or is this one motion that David made to go ahead and purchase it all right? Just one will do?
Unless Lonzo knows something, I don't know of any reason why you need to take it back and reappropriate it.
It's already been appropriated
Yeah.
and given it.
Yeah, if you don't, and I got a couple questions right real quick. And we got $7,100 remaining in our account that we saved, well, which is good. machine is 13.8, right?
For two.
For two, okay. Okay. If this is Judge Moore's and Zach Stude's program, which Missy works for, so give, if part of the motion could be upon, us looking, discussing with Judge Moore and Zach Stutes, the Commonwealth Attorney, that they feel comfortable with this program proceeding with this job description in addition to what they're doing as part of the motion. Or y'all, it's just a suggestion to the Board of Supervisors. So
And one thing that I would mention to that,
I've
the
talked with
staff
Missy.
can do this currently. We don't have to have the probationers.
Right.
Let me make that clear. The staff can do this. The probationers help the staff. We only got two down there. It would help us get some of these taken care of. If we need Chad pushing the button or Tommy or somebody like that, we can do that. But don't let your motion hinge on probationers. That's why I'm asking.
Fair enough. Okay, second thing is, so you're saying that the community workers will be more of a manual labor than the operation of the machine. Is that right? Okay.
Okay, as it is, it's fine as is. Is that right?
The motion, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, we'll call for a vote then. David made the motion that we purchase this machine and Tim seconded. So, and we have discussion. Now, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Toby.
Excuse me.
Thanks, Toby.
What was your first, when you came up to the podium, you said something?
The COVID policy,
COVID
it's an
policy.
addendum, and Katie has that
And
on
your
later on.
board's already approved that, you're gonna
Approved.
bring it up in your legal?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Our board has already approved the COVID policy, and Dickinson's
I
already
couldn't hear
approved it.
Katie there a minute ago. I thought she said she was gonna bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you all. You too.
All right, now we have the approval of our minutes. Our first is for the regular August the 3rd meeting. We have a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Steve, a second.
Second.
Lou. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, our next set of minutes is for our August 18th meeting. That was a joint meeting with the PSA. We have a motion to approve those minutes. Carl, all right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Morris, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone? No, we're abstaining. All right, now we need a motion to approve our expenditures for payment. We have a motion to approve paying our bills.
So moved.
Tim, we have a second?
Second.
Lou, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, yep, we need to pay those bills. All right, our third thing is our committee appointments for the board consideration. The first is for our Heart of Appalachia Board, and there are two positions. The first one is with Ms. Heather Powers, and that is, she is our current director of our tourism. So, do we have a motion for that first position? She is by state code to serve on our Heart of Appalachia Board.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make that motion to reappoint Heather Powers to that position, as she does serve as our county DMO.
All right. Okay, we don't need to second that.
Should we do it? It's not a motion.
I guess you use the motion to nominate her. We've done it both ways. We did seconds last time.
Okay, do we have a second on this, on the nomination of Heather?
Second.
Tim? All those in favor of this first position, Heather Powers?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, we have a second position open. It starts on September the 10th. It was the, to fill in the continuation of Ms. Betsy Gilmer's. So the floor is now open for another nomination for the Heart Appalachia Board.
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Victoria Jean.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Lou? All right, any other nominations? All right, with that, let's vote for Ms. Victoria Gent. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? All right, we have Ms. Heather Powers and Ms. Victoria Gent. Next appointment is the Cumberland Mountain Community Service Board. And this is to complete the term for Ms. Vance, who had to resign. It is a 3-year term. The board is now open for any nominations. Yes, yes. There's one application in the packet. Yes. Eric Brown.
I'll make a motion, Eric Brown.
David.
Okay, let me get that. David, who said second? Carl did. Okay, Carl. All right, any others? All right, that, all those in favor of Eric Brown? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Next, we have our citizens' comment period, and I have 2 names. First is Kelly Dale. Kelly McBride.
Good evening. From the library, I did want to let y'all know that the library has gotten some CARES COVID money from the Library of Virginia. They made an application through the Institute for Museum and Library Services, and basically those of us that are considered poor got money. Several of our surrounding counties also got some. Lonesome Pine, for instance, it just was based on things like the poverty levels and the broadband distribution. We're spending it on a variety of things. The first thing we're going to do is buy about $5,000 worth of ebooks suitable for juveniles, because with the system, with the schools going the way they're going, children will simply not have access to their libraries. So we're also going to be issuing each of the children a generic library card that they can use to download books. It's digital only, so they don't incur any fines, nothing like that. And I just did want to let you guys know that the library board has decided how they're going to spend that, and we're about ready to jump in on that. The other thing I was going to mention, I don't know if it's feasible for the county, but I have talked to one of the towns, and I'm going to talk to the other town next week to try to have story walks at each of the town parks. And if I get a go from there, I'll go then to Cleveland. A story walk is just that. You basically take apart a storybook and put it up as like a little poster or a little sign, so that as the kids walk from sort of station to station, if you remember the old park courses where you would go from point to point doing exercise, well, you only have to walk and read a story with a child. So I might be trying to hit the county up if I can't find some Boy Scouts or something to help us build or create the little stations. May try to get get Missy's crew to help build some of those. But that's one of the things we're looking at, is since we're having trouble getting people to come in the library. We'll try to keep them outside and keep them healthy. Thank you.
Next, we have William Osborne. I'm sorry, Kelly, I do have your name and address. I'll give it to you. William Osborne, state your address.
William Osborne, 1436 Horton Ridge Road, Fort Creek, 24649. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to y'all. I'm here to talk about a problem that's, not only in our area, but lots of parts of this county, is a high-speed internet. And I live on the Horton Ridge section. I guess everybody knows where it's at. It's in David's second part of the county there. I think was raised up there. But it's about a 5-mile section. They've got internet service. Spectrum has, I think, about 2 miles up the mountain. It's actually a mountain that
goes into Raven, and it comes off on Pine Creek. And there's about a 4-mile section that we're underserved, and we don't have the internet service. It's come to our understanding that Cumberland Mountain Plateau and Point Broadband has money to bring internet to underserved areas. And so we contacted, I've talked to David, I've talked to Will Moorfield, and Will Moorfield said money, there should be money there. He said just like, other areas that, there's underserved areas everywhere. But he said that the money was there, and he said even the CARES money could be possibly used for that. And we talked to Cumberland Mountain Plateau, talked to Jim Baldwin, and he gave us a number to contact Point Broadband. And I'm just going to be honest with you, they were very flippant when we talked to them, and said they had no interest in putting a line across through there, and it wasn't just something they wasn't going to do. They were very flippant about it. Well, we contacted them again, told them we talked to Morgan Griffith and Will Moorfield and others, and they were a little nicer. They wanted us to get a petition, and we had 80 some people signed it, and I gave David and Mr. Breeding, I gave them copies of that and copies of correspondence with Point Broadband. But one of the questions that I had, I wonder how does Point Broadband, how do they pick and choose? Is it on population? What Will Moorfield suggested that they should, y'all may already have, but he said they should have a plan laid out for the Board of Supervisors. That Point Broadband want to have a plan on what they want to do with their money, And do y'all have that? Have they done that?
Mr. Reagan, you're on from a plateau.
They've gotten money. They've been awarded a ton of money. I think it's maybe like $17 million to go into what they call CAP 2 here. I don't know what CAP 2 stands for, David. They can only do so much at a time. And I know they've been working. They're getting ready. Well, they've been at development.
They've been up 19, and that's all they've done.
Overlapping days. And then they're also down through Cleveland, aren't they? They're running a bunch of lines down through, and I think up in Spring City. How they pick and choose, I couldn't begin to tell you. At our last meeting, Dickinson County was complaining because they hadn't had anything done at all. Cumberland Plateau owns half of the fiber system, Cumberland Mountain system. But the option and Point Broadband bought out Sunset owns the other half, but they're the designated operators. By the agreement, they pick where they go. There are restrictions in the agreement that says they have to pick up so many people every year. The first year they're way behind, and they blamed that on Verizon, which they didn't get no AED. Blamed it on AED because they couldn't get pole attachments to attach the lines to the pole. And I don't know, it's frustrating, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I looked at your petition, you've got over 100 signatures on it.
Yeah. There were probably at least 40 families across there that would sign up, if not more. Yeah. And if it come across, it go on into Pine Creek, and I don't know.
Whose line goes? Does it come up from
the Raven side Spectrum?
The Raven side is about 2 miles.
Yeah, it's Spectrum, and they're up within 2 miles.
How far does it? Where does it end up at? Go up to the church?
Not as far as the church.
Not quite.
Not hard as the top of the mountain.
Point's fiber's already in the ground all the way through Swords Creek and through.
Yeah.
It's already all laid through there. All they should have to do is set a cabinet and do the connection.
Yeah, Will Moorfield said that we might want that IGO and others, we might want to get some competition to them, to maybe some others would be coming through. Our Spectrum said we talked to them. They said they would love if they could get the funding. They'd love to come on across there.
That'd be the easiest way to get it.
That if they could get the money, they said they would definitely bring it across there.
All they got to do is file an application.
And we approved resolutions of support for both IGO and Point Broadband to apply for monies. And it is frustrating. It's like Mr. Breeding said, it's like in my district. You know, they've started in a couple areas, but, you know, they go up Purcell Road, but only so far and they stop, and it makes no sense because it's like there's just as many houses past where they stop as there were where they came.
The application we approved for them, they're asking for the rest of the money they need to do internet in all 4 counties. Now, and that's gonna be done, we can tell.
Well, we got 35 million through cash too.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating,
Well,
because I know
17.
it comes up 19, but if you live off of 19, you're not gonna get it. I have a lady who calls all the time up at Belfast. She can see the community college, and she works at the community college. But she said she was told that whoever her provider is, oh, I'm not putting the wire up. It'll cost you $3,000 for me to run the wire to your house. And she's sitting and looking at Southwest Community College, and the provider won't put it in. And she's very frustrated.
I know it's all over the county like that, and some people, I've talked to people, they say, I live right on the end of the line. The house below me has it, but I don't. But
One of the things I had mentioned to you too is, I'd like to see Lou and Steve look at is, cell site there in that area. I mean, it's desperately needed. I mean, it's die out there, but that would cover Raven and Backside and.
yeah, all across it, you got a shot at Big 8 Mountain, and Firetown Mountain too,
Well, I wanted to bring that up tonight because that's something desperately needed, and I'm sure it's desperately needed in Tim's area and other areas of the county.
Moccasin and Copper Creek, both.
Mr. Osborne, we feel your plight, and I would like to ask the chair and the administrator to put on air agenda for next time to hear Joseph Puckett and make a presentation here and tell us exactly what he's going to plan on doing, and so you can watch us on TV or listen to it or whatever, or be here in person. But we want those answers too.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's, like I said, I know it's all different areas, but, you know, this is my area, and there's a lot of children up there, you know, they don't have access to it. I know one lady, she's got a compromised immune system, and she said she don't know what she's gonna do with her children, you know, so school, no internet or anything, so, you know, just like it.
If you talk to Spectrum.
Yeah, my wife, talked to them, and, they told her that they would love to get a grant to come across there. That they would be willing to do it, no problem.
It is frustrating. Gentleman called me from the Purcell Road area, not that long ago, and he asked me why they stopped right at his house, and I don't know. I don't know how they decide we'll quit here, you know.
They kicked out a couple of projects in Russell County. They're doing a couple in Kansas. I think they're doing one in Buckingham.
But I do appreciate y'all's time, and if y'all have any ideas, or if y'all would want to contact Spectrum or any of them, and, you know, I'll be back to the next meeting.
Give me that number and I'll contact them and help them with the process to put in the application.
And Will Moorfield said he was going to be working from his side too. He said he was going to contact IGO and a few others also. And, so maybe we can get it going, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else, public comment? Anyone else wants to speak? Nobody else wants to speak? All right, seeing that, we'll now have our, constitutional officers and our seating meeting. And now we will turn it over to our county attorney report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first thing that I have for the board is the continuity of government operations ordinance that we had the public hearing on earlier. This is the same exact ordinance that we adopted in April. As I discussed in April, it does have an automatic expiration date, which is 6 months. And due to the fact that we've received additional COVID money, and as well as where this area is just now feeling the effects of COVID, I do think that it's in your all's best interest to reenact this statute. It can be rescinded at any time by a majority of the board, but it would be in effect from this date until March the 6th of 2021.
I'd like to take a motion for us to continue this.
I can't hear you.
I said I'd like to make a motion to keep the continuity of government operations going.
Do we have a second? Second. All right. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? You abstain. Okay.
The second ordinance that we had the public hearing on earlier is the courthouse security ordinance, and this is just an amendment of an existing ordinance. The law was recently changed to allow localities to increase their courthouse security fee from $10, which was the previous maximum, which was what we had, to $20, and that is taken out of criminal and traffic offenses in juvenile and domestic relations, general district and circuit court. It doesn't apply to civil cases, but it is a fee if the defendant is convicted. So that is a fee that goes to providing the necessary security for the courthouse, which has been an ongoing issue that the board is currently working on addressing. So that would be additional funding to address those issues.
So we need a motion to raise this fee for the courthouse security ordinance.
To pass the amended ordinance.
Okay, we have a motion for that. Steve, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Tim? Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstain? All right. Katie, the waste management report.
Yes, I think it says user agreement on that, but all I have for the board's approval tonight is the addendum to the manpower agreement that Toby referenced. I've reviewed that. Dickinson County, and I think Lonzo's reviewed it, and Dickinson County has already passed this as well. This is just to address their issues with COVID. The 3 localities are still working on finalizing all of the documents, but this will, I imagine, will be incorporated into the finalization, but they do need this to address that temporary concern. So I would ask that the board approve the addendum to the current manpower agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Steve, David, Steve second. All right, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining? Okay.
The next thing that I have, Madam Chair, is a resolution I've received, and it's from the Ratcliffe Foundation, and it's in regard to placing statues in Russell County. I've reviewed this statue, and it does not financially obligate the Board of Supervisors at all. It's basically a resolution of support, that you would support their endeavors. Now, this is not an exact plan, but I did receive this today, and this is a concept that they have got if they were to receive the statue, that they would hope to maybe make some kind of a park. And that's really what this resolution is that you support their endeavor and to create tourism and additional tax revenue from visitors coming here. So, like I said, I don't think this is the final plan, but this is a concept that they're working on. So this is something that this foundation's given a lot of thought to. But again, it's not requiring anything from the Board of Supervisors. It's simply asking for your support for them to undertake that project.
I'll make that motion.
Steve, are any discussion?
Yes, if I may. I'm on the fence on this, and so you have explained the part the county plays in this, which is nothing, no financials, nothing that we do as far as the county, no taxpayers' money. But supposedly, I know, I'm a troublemaker, I'm sorry. Supposedly, we have disagreements over this that the sheriff's office is going to have to come out to see about. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just asking these questions. And what kind of response has the community given to this? Or is that community okay with this?
I really can't answer those questions from a legal standpoint, and I don't even want to try, because that's not really my job.
And I understand.
And I don't want to overstep my bounds. But you know, obviously, you all are speaking for the community, and I don't know if anybody has raised any of those issues with you. I know, this is not land that you're going to be, required to take care of. This is private land that they will ensure, deal with any issues that may arise. It's just whether this board of supervisors is in support of this project. It's just a resolution of support. So, but I can't answer about.
So maybe I need to direct my question to the county administrator. So will the planning commission be involved in this? And will this nonprofit or this organization, will they see that everything is kind of done, and will they have a public comment period or anything?
Well,
I don't know. I've just seen this week, so I just didn't know. I want to make sure that we're all good with this.
I have a question with you too. This is a private foundation going to private land. Do we really even need to do anything, or is it okay that they just go on to do it? They don't need us, or do they?
I don't think they would.
I don't know.
I don't think they would require this specific boards of approval. Now, whatever they're going to create, that may involve the planning commission. I don't know what the exact plans will be. I don't think that it's required, but I think a lot of it is these, a relocation of these statues are going to be very expensive, and if the locality is not in support of them being there, then they may choose a different locality, because I think there's a substantial amount of money involved in that. But I don't think that they require it because it's private land. It's just something that they, I think it's more something that they want to make sure that they're welcome before they do that.
There's history there. Ellenbrook. One time, Jim Stewart. They're trying to make something nice. They're required every year to do something of this nature. Use some money, the foundation's money, something I think this is this that area across where the old mill pond is? Is that where?
Yeah, I know.
No, it's right below Elk Garden Methodist Church. The mill pond is on down next to the governor's house.
That's the old governor's mansion.
That was a picture of the governor's house.
They're not, Ellenbrook is right below Elk Garden School.
It's all owned by the same
Foundation. Yeah. But are they gonna put it right there, number 4, the white one, or way on down next to the governor's mansion?
It looks to me like it's sitting right there. I can see the other.
No, that's Ellenbrook.
That's Ellenbrook?
Yes.
that's Ellenbrook right there.
That's not the governor's mansion.
Well, I'm sorry, I was mistaken.
Well,
I thought it
perhaps,
was the governor's mansion.
since, I think this is very interesting. I really, really do. But perhaps, the foundation might need to come and give a presentation, sort of.
And I just want you to have all the facts. I personally have not been keeping up with the decision making going on in Richmond regarding the statues, but I don't know how quickly that will be resolved, and so I guess that's a concern,
They're still in litigation, aren't they, in Richmond? They're still.
That's why I have not personally kept up with that. I don't know what, obviously litigation can go on for years, or it can be settled just like that. It just depends. I can't tell you a time frame. And again, I'm not trying to hurry you, but I just want you to be aware that, if something were resolved and there was no resolution, then maybe I don't know if they would look elsewhere. So, I don't know if that's a concern for this board.
I know Smith County's approaching about doing it there. They got unanimous. Haskell County is also.
And this is not a guarantee. This is not a definite plan. This is just this is again a concept that they've come up with, I guess, if they were to relocate it here. So to say that it's definitely, if they come here and that it's going to go right there, I can't say for sure. It's just an idea that they've come up with.
So the Ratcliffe is who wrote the resolution for that foundation?
Yeah, that's my understanding. I did not draft it.
No. further discussion? All right, there's a call for vote, there's a motion on the floor. David made it, Steve seconded. All those in favor of the, resolution? Anyone abstaining? Anyone voting no? All right. Okay, move on.
The last thing is, at the last meeting, we approved the new personnel policy, and that required any changes to job descriptions of the manager class to be approved by this board. And it's my understanding that county administrator has worked and has crafted this job description for the emergency management coordinator, and I have reviewed it, and it's before the board to accept tonight.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor. It's basically.
No, nobody's made a motion yet.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Oh.
going to be a motion
Yes.
to just discuss, like, to alleviate overtime, that type of thing, right?
It does reclassify the coordinator of emergency management as exempt, as pursuant to the FLSA. That really all depends on the type of work being done, but as a general matter, this position would be an exempt position.
Did we have this in our packet already, or did we just get this today?
We received it today because it's a personnel issue.
I haven't looked at it, the first page. I have sit here and not looked at this, so.
Apologize.
I'm not hearing enough to understand what's taking place. I'm not hearing what Katie's saying.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry. All I said was we passed the new personnel policy at the last meeting. Okay. Oh no, we're not doing another personnel. We're approving the. This is not a change of the personnel policy. We're applying the personnel policy because we're changing a job description. And pursuant to the new personnel policy that was adopted, that any changes or new job classifications, descriptions of a manager employee, of a supervisor or manager employee have to be approved by this board. Any other classifications of job descriptions would not have to be approved by the board. That would be approved by the county administrator. But because it's of a manager class, then it's for the board to approve.
Do we have a motion to accept this as it is, or do we need to table it and read it? You want to table it? All right, since we just got it, we can table this until our next meeting so that everyone has a chance to read it.
Just need to make a motion to table it in a second.
We have a motion for that? That we table it to read until next meeting?
I'll second it.
Second for David. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any no or abstain? All right, we will table this until next meeting. At the next meeting. All right, is that all for you, Katie, yours? Now,
Yes.
County administrators reports and requests.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, see, the first one on the county administrator reports and requests for September is the BRA Energy Conservation Revenue Bond annual refund. This is $148,181.91. This is applicable to the energy performance contract. A few years ago, we upgraded all the schools' energy performance as a reminder, and this is part of us upgrading their their windows and natural gas and water and getting all the energy performance back in. And this is part of the treasurer's guarantee for this project of $148,181.91. This is a report only. This is giving an update to the Board of Supervisors. This program is performing well, and the energy savings are coming through just as planned, which is guaranteed by Train, which was the contractor at the time per the Performance Energy contract. The next on the County Administrator report is the Russell County's CARES Fund from March the 1st through December the 31st. These are reports in y'all's package of how we have appropriated out the CARES Relief Fund throughout the town. As everyone can see, we have given up to $839,204 to the towns alone. The county for the whole operations all the way from March to now, and that includes part of the PP&E and the sanitizer and security, the workforce and disposal, house cleaning, total of $714,064. Modifications to public safety and facilities. We've had clean supplies, and of course we have got decontamination machine. The $95,000 that we've given right here actually went to the fire and rescue squads in the courthouses, in the government buildings, and Kelly to the libraries. So we've given out those machines. So, and we've also give out, along with those machines, we give out the disinfection for decontamination. We give each one of the 12 squads one of these machines to be able to decontaminate their equipment and their facilities. It actually, it's a backpack, so there's 55-gallon drums that goes with this. It has a great kill rate as far as the COVID. Of course, we'll be going into in a minute the small business grant program, which you guys will approve here in a minute, which we gave $120,000 to support business and recovery. Next is the community assistance programs, which is of course $52,500 for those. Those are the food pantries around the county. So we have reached out to all the nonprofit food pantries to be able to give to them. And next on the county next one line item is to the fire and rescue squads. We've also given out, actually this has went up since this is, we'll want to correct the number, but I'll show you in the later ones. We've actually almost give out $400,000 to the squads to be able to take care of the 5 rescues and the 8 fire squads. We also upgraded our equipment to be able to have these meetings and telework and do what we needed to do. And then again, we've extended hotspots in all the community centers and libraries and some of the fire halls, some of the churches. So right now today, we have spent $2.2,227,000. We have $2.4 million remaining. So, but you got to remember that the biggest portion of those went through, of course, the towns first. They get their share because of population that's based off the Code of Virginia. So, again, we got $2,411,770 of 9.2. Next on the county administrator's reports is our Southwest Virginia Regional Jail FY20 inmate population and our FY21 projected inmate population through the regional jail. Of course, due to the COVID issues and in the closure of the courts, we came out really well on this. Our total for ending, our average for the year ending on was 137.97. You get down to that, that's how far they go. And of course, as you'll see later on, there'll be a return of a refund from the regional jail that we came under. They have projected us at FY '21 at 180 inmates, and we hope due to the community work program that we keep it under that, because what we have budgeted for and what we anticipate will come out to again with a surplus. Next on the county administrator reports is the, if no one has heard or seen the signs, this is the General Dollar Store construction project. This is a project that was under, that is a new General Dollar Store that's going in at the intersection of Route 71 and 58. If anyone knows where the old, and this is the best way, our old Dogtown site was, or disposal site, this is right across the road from it. Here is the proposed location, and the county and VDOT has been working on this. The contracts have been awarded. They are proceeding with the engineering, and they are also proceeding with site development. So this will give, this is speaking with the engineers. This is General Dollar Store has conveyed to us that this is one of their, due to the traffic volume of 71 and 58, this is one of their flagships. So they'll be able to service the area within 58 and 71, and they think it's going to be a great success. Plus to that community and those districts, and to Russell County employment. This is jobs. So next is the county administrator request. Of course, like I had mentioned before, I need a motion on these. These are converting the Russell County IDA applications to grants. I have put in y'all's package what the town of Lebanon has given. This is their grant fund money that they have given out to each one of their businesses through the town of Lebanon, through the town of Honeacre, and the IDA. The motion tonight for the Russell County Board of Supervisors, we have currently screened and approved eligibility of 15 applications here through here for a total of $75,000. So I need a motion for approval of the Russell County Board of Supervisors CARES grant program funds for $75,000 to these eligible.
Significance of the shaded.
The shaded ones are the ones that we're working with on the town of Honeacre, where that's that in the town of Honeacre, they may be picking those up. This is CARES fund, the CARES fund. We're making sure nobody is, we have to make sure that both funds is eligible. Since the county is the conduit for the funding, when we give it to the town of Honeacre, when we give it to the town of Lebanon, we can't give it to the same person in both places. So we're checking off the boxes and making sure if the town of Honeacre picks these up, then we'll be great. That's under theirs that we talked to them this afternoon. If they don't, then they'll come under the county. Either way, the business will be taken care of.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second it.
Question?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
On IDA, grants, or did they use the same application as the CARES grant?
The IDA applications, they first began when back in April and May and June doing loans. That's the next motion thing. Because I've got to do, one has got to be converted, and one is a loan. I was going to take care of the Russell County loan, our grant through the Russell County Board of Supervisors first, and the second one is convert the Russell County IDA from loans to CARES grants. So I can go ahead and answer that one right now. These were loans, and now they want to convert them to grants that they are eligible. They have since, when they first put in the applications, they put in the paperwork as a loan through VCTA through the IDA. Now they want the eligibility to turn these loans, which they can do under the CARES Act, to turn the loans to grants. So they're asking for approval on the next one, and that'll be the next motion for
Okay,
$50,000.
next question. Who made the decision to to check on this to make sure that this CARES money would allow this. So has this been checked on?
Yes, ma'am.
Because these grants loans was before
That's correct.
CARES was even heard of, correct?
That is correct, ma'am.
Okay. But we have approval to turn this around and turn this into a grant.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
You have a list of those also.
Yes, right there.
Yeah,
It's right.
you're right here. You're right here is that would be the next motion. The first
No, I
one,
just wanted it put up on the screen.
it is
It
right
is.
here.
But IDA.
This is IDA. This is what the IDA wants converted to loan to grants. Now, this is the town of Lebanon. This is the town of Homeacre. The motion that's currently before the board is the Russell County Board of Supervisors for these 15 applications that the Board of Supervisors is only awarding as grants. These are the Board of Supervisors, 75,000.
Yeah.
This is what we've given to the emergency responders.
Thank you, I just wanted to.
Okay.
Public.
Okay,
Okay.
Now, they have to pass the criteria before it can be changed from a loan to a grant.
what the process is, and the auditors have looked and reviewed, based off the applications that were given to the IDA at the time for a business grant through VCETA, they had certain applications and certain documentations they had to give, and what the IDA had to do was to resubmit with the paperwork for grants to make it seem eligible. They had to meet the criteria and eligibility for a grant. They had to be in business in March the 1st. They had to meet every eligibility requirement for the conversion from loan to grant. That's applicable under the program.
Okay, so the IDA sent these out and made the decision on who would get this. I didn't even know this was going on until I got word in my packet that the IDA had made these decisions. So that's just the reason I'm questioning.
And that's a fair question, because at the time the Board of Supervisors, that's something, a program that the IDA had taken on its own. It did not go through the Board of Supervisors at the time. It was when back in April and May, we didn't even get the CARES funding until June the 1st, which we had to report today. So I know the day very well. So, to the Department of Accounts. So June the 1st is the day that we received the electronic transfer of the first COVID funding. Now, under the program, under the CARES program, there is eligibility for business grants and conversion from loans to grants. It does both. So the IDA approaches the Board of Supervisors after the fact for conversion of IDA loans to grants to meet eligibility. Now, this was a much larger list after eligibility requirements, and they had to make sure they were a business since March the 1st. They had no outstanding taxation, no utilities. They had employment. They had a budget. They had their 1040s. The CARES grant is a more comprehensive program than the loan, because a loan is looked at as a gift. So they had to meet more eligibility requirements going in through than actually a loan. What did it say?
You said a loan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think you meant a grant.
Sorry, that's a great grant. Thank you.
And one that the IDA has previously given probably can fall to the town of Homeacre. Well, two of them, because they are in the town of Homeacre.
I see that highlighted.
And we were double checking to make sure that IDAs are given it and the town doesn't turn around and give it to them.
Do we have clawbacks on any of this when the grants are given? Do they have to be in business for X amount of time or pay it back or anything like that?
On the clawback, on the guarantees, if you look at the application on the last page, they certify it to be, valid and true. One of the things about these are valid businesses that's been screened and been here a while. So we went through not 1, 2, or 3 times, but that's about how many times we re-screened and rescreened these programs and these businesses. So these are traditionally Russell County businesses been in business for a while in Russell County. Some of them a long time. They're well known, so they do meet eligibility. The IDA currently has 10 applications. It was actually 15. 5 of them did not make it. We got down to ones that were eligible for loan to grant conversion based off the resubmission of all the financial documentation. And now you have 10 that are eligible, and based off of all the applications that went through the Board of Supervisors, the 15 applications at $5,000 each, these are the ones that made eligibility. But in the meantime, we had to work with the town of Honaker, which we visited, the town of Lebanon, and met with their councils to make sure that we were trying to, the towns were taking care of as many town businesses they could do. The town of Honaker was taking care of as many businesses they could do. And the Board of Supervisors is taking care of as many county, including the town, businesses that we could do.
Is this a continuation of grants?
This, per the application in the wording that we've got, it is based off of one is funding. It will continue till either September the 30th, which is the period, or the funding is depleted.
Thank you. I want you to say that publicly. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So the IDA is 10 grants at $5,000 each.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
there's some that need to, they could actually be moved to something else or classification for it to be converted.
Yes, ma'am.
So instead of saying 60,000, that's going to be 50,000.
That is correct. That's what we have is 50,000. Yes.
Okay.
So now we can all put on our Facebook pages and everything else one more time to our local businesses to please apply for the CARES money. Thank you.
Yes, we have it on our website. I have the applications on the county
And
website.
that's why you've got the names of places. Please look at these. You all will probably know some folks that we might not know.
Yes.
That you can reach out to, because we want to take care of our people here.
Yes, we've got it on the webpage. We put it on all of our media sites, Facebook, Twitter, to make sure everybody is eligible, it knows of it and is aware of it. We've got many phone calls, plus we're working with all the towns. So working with the towns and working with us, and the IDA is back out there. They're trying to get some more businesses. They're in, and also some of them, they're trying to work in each area. They're coming in out of Castlewood. They're coming in out of Dane. They're coming in now, in various parts that are not located in the town. So we're all working together, trying to make sure we're not missing anybody. And of course, anybody out there listening, please, if you're a viable business, this grant is eligible. Please take a review at the application. But the first motion will be, because it's a two-part, the Board of Supervisors has 15 applications for $75,000. That is solely grant. It never went through a loan to grant process. It is a grant. So I need an approval for 15 applications for $75,000.
I done made that motion.
We have.
He's already made. He's already made.
I seconded it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're in discussion.
Okay.
Second.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We went to the IDA and it got, that's another motion. Sorry about that.
We done read through the book of Exodus.
Yeah.
Take up an hour.
We're ready to IDA.
Okay,
We gotta vote on
next
it.
motion.
We need to vote.
Yes, you need to vote.
Tim, I'm sorry, y'all keep me straight. We'll call for a vote on the Board of Supervisors, 15 grants. So all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining? All right, now the IDA. There's 10 grants here. We need a motion to change their loans to grants, and there's only 10 that's eligible.
That's
But
right.
But we're working with the others to get them changed over. So
Now,
Steve made that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
David. All right. Any further conversation on the IDAs? All right. All right.
It's,
All those in favor of the IDAs, 10 grants.
yes, ma'am.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right. Town 11.
Now,
Let's vote.
Lebanon, they approve theirs. So, again, the IDA,
Alderman.
these 10 of conversion from loan to grants, just to sum it up, from loans to grants, this will complete the amount. The other 5 are not eligible for grants at all. So this 10 will be the only one that you will see conversions on. The rest will be grants under the program, under the Board of Supervisors, not the IDA. Of course, I put this in the packet for everyone to see the town of Lebanon, how they've chosen theirs so far, and the town of Honaker, how they've chosen theirs so far, and of course, the Board of Supervisors that you just approved, and the updated numbers for the first responders. On the rescue, we have given out $175,000 of the CARES funding to the rescue squads and $210,000 out to all the fire departments, which is equates to we've given $35,000 to each one of the rescue squads and $30,000 to each one of the fire departments. And these are the food ministries and the food pantries that we have given to. The Roger E. Jesse, the Word of Victory, the El Garden, Star Ministry, and Splash Ministry. So each one of those are in each one of the areas that we're in great need. So, and that sums up the summary for the Russell County CARES business grants and financials. Next, of course, is another approval for the Virginia Supreme Court Drug Treatment Grant Program. Again, this is part of Mrs. Carter's. This is the Community Work Program. This is for the Russell County Adult Drug Treatment Court for $90,000. I need approval for appropriation allocation for fiscal year 21 for the Virginia Supreme Court Drug Treatment Grant. So moved.
Second. Do we have a second? All right, all those in favor?
Next on county administrator reports is the Russell County School Board FY21 reversion fund allocation. This is a request by the Russell County Treasurer. This is to move $535,143.68 from the school reversion funds back to the Russell County General Fund. I need a motion to approve $535,143.68.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstained?
Next on the county administrator request is, this is, as mentioned before, the regional jail, our inmate population. This is the FY20 reconciliation of local contributions to debt. In short term, this is our refund due to, again, our community work program and due to the reduction of the COVID cases. It is a refund of $527,967.18 for appropriation back to the Russell County General Fund.
So moved.
Tim, do we have a second?
Second.
Paul?
For discussion here.
Okay.
That money that comes back, do you allocate that back into a line item for the regional jail, or does it go back to?
It goes back to the general fund.
I thought it would stay with the regional jail. And their treasurer and all those.
We won't allow that, no.
Huh?
No, if it stayed there as, you're talking about as a credit based off of that, the Code of Virginia doesn't allow it. At the end of the fund, it's like the school reversion funds, and by law, on June 30th, it has to revert back to the locality. If they did not use it, yes. We'd be charging them interest.
All right, we have a motion by Tim, a second by Carl. Discussion, all those in favor? Anyone opposed or abstained?
Again, this is another good one. The Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services. This is a grant that just came down through for the Sheriff's Department for COVID for $48,075.54. This is for them to be able to utilize their funds to support their offices and staff during this time. I need approval for $48,000 $75.54 to the Russell County General Fund.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Second, David. Discussion. All right, all those in favor? That wasn't me. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Yeah.
What?
Abstaining? All right.
Oh my. Everybody wait? Now that we bring all this money back, now they got to spend some. Next on the county administrator request is, of course, a Russell County disposal truck purchase. This is for $56,326. I need an approval for it, but also in the second part of the motion will be to sell the other truck that we do as normally as part of our program, our replacement program, which has worked very well over the years. We usually end up utilizing these trucks. We buy them on state contract, which we get them at a cheap price, and then we sell them at market. And usually, if Brian correct me here if I'm wrong, our cost of our depreciation cost between what we buy it for, and sometimes we have sold them and made more than we paid, and sometimes it's very less and it's nominal amount. So sometimes we have utilized up to maybe $8,000 to $10,000 a year of cost for one truck. I mean, it's unheard of. So this program is part of the continuation of the program to purchase the $56,000. It's up for rotation, and to sell the other one in the open market. So it's a two-part motion.
Two-part motion.
I'll make that motion. I also want to commend Brian. If anybody wants to go buy a vehicle, I take time. I'm telling you, I've never heard of how you did that. It's remarkable how you've done that and saved that kind of money for taxpayers of Russell County. But I just want to commend you. But I'll make that motion. I think it's a great concept. However you figured that out, it's good.
So you're making a motion to purchase the new truck.
I'll second.
And Carl, you're gonna second that. All right, any more discussion on that, subject to purchasing the new truck?
I agree with Dave.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? All right, second part of this motion is to allow Brian to take their old truck and to sell it.
I'll make that motion.
David, thank you. Second?
Second.
Carl? All right, the second part of this motion is we will take the old truck and trade it in, sell it, and hope to get a lot extra money. Right. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining?
It's my understanding you already have a price, with the guy in Alabama or wherever to sell this thing?
Yes.
So you're telling me that you could go down there knowing you're going to get 110, but you could very well come back with 130.
That's great. I know.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right there was a proposal on the back of it, $42,000. You have to buy this separate.
Yeah, the 156. But now, the reason again, we buy these on state contract. So we use the power of purchasing power of the government. When it goes back to sale, it goes to the open market, which, it's got it's got miles on it, but it's still in good shape. Brian maintains these vehicles very well. he puts down the estimate of what we got gap insurance on what it is. He's guaranteed $110,000. Now, when I estimate out, I'm a little optimistic because I'm going off the future. Brian's been really well at this, and I'm saying 140 is what we want to sell it for. So Brian, no expectations, but the program does work. It works really, really well. I mean, and even some of the private companies have heard of this and they say, "How do y'all do this?" And some of them are trying to start to do it. So, but it works well. We got the truck. We'll get it in. We'll get the other one sold. So, and Madam Chair, that concludes the county administrator reports and requests.
Okay, next, our final thing, do we have any matters that want to be discussed, presented by the board? Oris, do you have anything you need to discuss with us tonight? David?
Yes, ma'am. I just got a couple things. The first one is I got a call today from Aaron Ball that lives at Malou, and he has obtained a petition to try to get water service up in that area.
Tried it, and they tell me it's too far. There's not enough mileage.
Well, he says that their springs are drying up and are contaminated, and
they're too far from the fire hall. They're extra insurance.
And I told him I would bring it up tonight and see if there's something that we could do to. And I know there's other areas in all of our districts that need it, but since Aaron called me, he said two of the commercial accounts that he had was Stuart Landing Cattle, and also Waylon Hart now wants public water. So he said he had two commercial accounts, not counting all the residents. So I just wanted to make the boards aware of that. Second, I'm a little frustrated right now because I don't know who and all had this information about this project, Dr. Brown's, but apparently he's communicated with somebody or other people, but I didn't know anything about it, or nothing was ever relayed to me or communicated with me at all. And I don't like this spur of the moment stuff. I'd like to be kind of informed and communicated with. If anybody has any information like this that they can provide, so we can study it and think it out and maybe ask some questions and stuff before we have to actually take any measures, I would be really grateful in regards to that, because I just don't like some of this stuff here being sprung up and us taking action when I would like to be able to digest it a little bit more. But that's basically all I've got.
Okay.
Yes, I have something that I want to discuss. Our tonnage report, now this is back to we're hauling trash again. And I've been watching the tonnage reports for my district, and the little Hamlin site is on overflow here. We're pushing a lot of garbage out of the Hamlin site. So
That's why we're finding another truck.
So I want the savings off of his truck to help me redo a site for that little corner of the world down there. I think it's phenomenal. If you look at this, we're like Lebanon, of course, we know is going to take the cake, and they're going to be number one all the time. That's understandable. But then you get down here to Little Hamlin, and there's only one Flat Rock. Who's got Flat Rock, by the way?
I do.
David, you got
It's
Flat
real.
Rock. Well, you're beating Hamlin on tonnage, but I'm next. So I really need to have some updates and upgrades. So I'm throwing that out here now to this board and to the public that I'm working on some upgrades and updates to the Hamlin trash transfer convenience center site, because it's certainly not convenient right now. It's on overflow. And I went the other day, and the trash was all over the road. I mean, it was past the top of the open top, and it was spilling out over into the road. So it's just too small. So thank you for listening. Carl?
No, Madam Chair.
This is, I guess, a minor thing, but I'd just like to ask the board if they would consider going back like we did a couple years ago and doing a discretionary fund. In light of the monies that we got back from the regional jail, reversionary monies from the school, and the COVID money that's taking care of a lot of these expenses that we were afraid we were going to have to. You know, that kind of lets us each do a little thing here and there in our district that, you know, there may be something in my district that I can do that you all don't even have in your district, and vice versa. And that way, that keeps us out of the, well, if we do for one, we got to do for all. You know, like I said, maybe there's something I can do for my district that you all wouldn't be interested in doing. You may have something totally different that I would have. This gives us a little flexibility, and I think last time we did 5,000 each, so we're looking at $35,000. But just something I think we should consider. I think it's a nice.
Well, so you can look into that and let us know at our next meeting.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? All right, at this time, we will set our meeting for October the 5th at 6 o'clock here. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a second?
Second.
Tim? All those in favor?
Aye.